You are listening to an infusion of nerd enlightenment. You are now entering the PowerBomb Nation.
All right, PowerBomb Nation, welcome back. We got another fantastic interview and a fantastic show here for you. I have a very, very good friend of mine. We've known each other since I would think middle school, if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Chris Wylie. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, Dwight, I'm doing good. Yeah, it was middle school. I still remember when I met you, actually.
So
the day of, I remember we were in gym class. You were sitting on the bleachers listening to, what was the country music singer? Billy Joel. Or not Billy Joel, Billy Ray Cyrus. I remember that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh my gosh, I probably had a mullet back then too.
Didn't everybody?
Yeah, it was, back 80s, early 90s, we all had really awful hair.
Yeah, it was either a mullet or a bowl cut, one of the two.
Right. So I'll tell you, I like to start this when I have somebody on the show that I know with a story. That's a fantastic story about the first time you met me. Now, I remember distinctly a story about you was when I left after middle school. I'd moved away and I'd spent my freshman year in another state. While I was gone over that summer and then the next school year, John Atha had told the entire student body that I was in a car wreck and died. And most people believed it. And I came back for the sophomore year. And I remember I'm standing, when you walk in the auditorium, I'm sitting against the wall over to the left, and I hadn't talked to anybody since I'd returned. And I heard somebody say, Dwight Couch. And I looked up and it was you. And you were like, you came over, you're like, I thought you were dead. I tell people about that all the time. So, Chris, tell us all a little bit about yourself and what you got going on.
Sure. Well, I'm out in Amarillo, Texas now. I've been out here for several years. Actually a full-time respiratory therapist. I've been doing that for about 12 years now. And kind of a de-stressor for me, if you will. Well, for my wife and I, because we're both respiratory therapists, and that's a high-stress job. And we started going to comic conventions around 2017, first time ever, and loved them, absolutely loved them. And I wanted to go to them all the time, but they're expensive. So kind of a collection that we've had in the house with autographs and memorabilia, just all sorts of miscellaneous collectibles, if you will. We decided, let's try and set up and be vendors and see if we can't secure a vending spot inside a vendor hall in the Comic-Con. And if it can pay for the convention and some other stuff that we'll pick up while we're there to kind of maybe resell later, we thought it would be a great way to go to conventions for free. And it has blown up since then. We're actually doing more of this now than respiratory therapy. We're actually phasing out now that COVID is kind of going down a little bit, because the last couple of years have been crazy with respiratory. But now that that's going down a bit, we've opened up an actual store in the Westgate Mall out here. It's been going fabulous. And we're hoping to do this more and more full time and less of the other.
Awesome. That's fantastic. Anything you can take, anytime you can take your hobby or your passion and turn it to a full-time gig, that is an amazing thing to do.
Absolutely. It was funny. We had an interview a while back with the local news station here, newspaper. And he asked me specifically with our name, the Space Emporium. He says, how did you, I get everything about your store, except I don't understand that. Where did the name come from? And I said, well, we're huge. Both of us, my wife and I, were huge Firefly fans. And if you've ever read the comics as well as seen the one season wonder episodes that are out there, the Space Emporium is kind of a flea market of sorts. where you can find anything and everything that you're looking for. And I said, I thought that was exactly what we started out as. I said we had a little bit of everything, and I said, so why not just take that name and run with it? So everything about this store has started from a passion.
Well, that is fantastic and awesome. So, so where can anybody watching right now? Now, I know you said you're getting your website up and running. Where can they
Yes.
go and kind of check out all this really, really awesome stuff? You guys got to get on here and check it out. Where can they check this stuff out at right now?
The easiest would probably be Facebook. I'm the main administrator on our Facebook page. I try and throw different stuff from the store on there all the time, as well as just funny little anecdotes that I find. But yeah, if you look us up on Facebook, it's actually Space Emporium / The Big Universe, and that'll take you to our Facebook page. And then hopefully, here in the next day or two, you should be able to find us on www.spaceemporium.biz. And that website is, like you said, it's up and coming. I've got a lady working on it right now. She's having a little trouble with the format, I guess, of it, but she told me it should be up in the next day or so. So I'm hoping.
Well, that's awesome. There's a link in all the comments in the chat below, so make sure you check that out. Just click there. It's going to take you straight to the Facebook page. Check out a lot of really cool photos. Now, I did see that when I was looking over here tonight, right before our call, that you got an interesting employee, and he looks like he might have been stocking a couple things. And I think I see him hanging out behind you. Hey, yeah, there's old Ben right now.
Yep. That's one of the things we have. Actually, since I've got you on the phone, I can move around and show you a couple different things. Let's take a look. One of the things that we carry are life-size statues, of course. I have a buddy in Oklahoma that makes all of these. Most of the time, it's just a mannequin body, but then he sculpts the face and does the hands and gets the costumes for them. So yeah, we've got old Ben there doing the inventory, and then we come over to this is actually our wall of autographs that we have from all sorts of celebrities, all the way up to, and I don't know if you can see him all the way up there, but we have Harrison Ford.
Oh, nice.
Up there.
Nice.
And of course, to sell those, we have to have Captain Picard here to help sell them.
Absolutely. Nobody sells better than Jean-Luc.
Exactly. It's actually funny. People think because they're so realistic looking, because they're not a plastic or anything, they're actually made of a resin. A lot of people think that they are real people. And I flirted with the idea of putting like a little walkie-talkie or something behind them and communicating with people.
Oh, that would be awesome. Awesome. So let me ask you this, since you gave us a little sneak peek of Jean-Luc there, Kirk or Picard, who's your captain?
Oh, I love Kirk, but I'm going to have to go with Picard. I was more of a Next Generations kind of person growing up, so I got to go that way.
Absolutely. Same here. I tell everybody all the, everyone's like, well, that's the hardest question ever. I'm like, no, it's pretty easy. If I go down in a red shirt with Picard, I'm coming back. I'll go down with Kirk. I'm gone.
That's it. It was funny. I was talking to somebody about that a while back. They were talking about the different color uniforms, and I said, well, you gotta mention what Star Trek are you talking about? Because the colors change, and you go from you're dead in red to your commander. So
absolutely. So what got you into collecting the first, however long ago it was? What was the first thing that got you really into collecting and making that a hobby?
It's a little bit of a personal story that goes all the way back to when we were hanging out in middle school, pretty much. I don't know if you knew this back then, but I was actually in and out of court a whole lot because I was the landmark case in Kentucky for grandparents' rights. My mom had some issues, and during that time, my grandma kind of helped raise me and bring me up. And then when my mom got everything, her life kind of got a little bit better and got custody of me back, and I went her way. I don't know exactly what the falling out between the two of them was, but they had one. And so it's kind of like when you're in a divorce with your mom and your dad, and they're fighting for custody. It's kind of the same thing, but with my mom and my grandma. And I hated it, something awful. So I buried myself into TV shows, into movies. And it sounds corny as can be, but I remember watching, Full House and just thinking that's the dream family, even though it wasn't. And it's all make believe. And I think I got a little obsessive with all the movies and the TV. It was an escape for me.
Right.
And then I guess I was when was it? I guess I was in California, to be honest. And I was fresh out of the military, and I started doing extra work in music videos and everything. Just because you're in California, you have to try. Shoot your
Right.
shot. And I actually did a video with a gentleman, a singer by the name of Kevon Edmonds, which a lot of people don't necessarily recognize his name right off the bat, but his older brother is a singer that a lot of people remember from the 80s and 90s is Babyface.
Okay. Yeah.
And I remember Babyface coming up after I'd shot the video with his younger brother. My full-time job at the time was working at an amusement park, Knott's Berry Farm, and he came up to the Knott's Berry Farm with his family, and he stopped at me, and he just kind of had a staring problem where I guess he knew my face, but he wasn't sure where or how in the world, this minimum wage employee, how do I know him? And he was like, oh, we started talking, and it came out that I did extra work, and then it came out that I shot a video with his younger brother, and I guess a lot of my footage ended up on the cutting room floor. But that's how he knew me, because it's actually through his production studio, Babyface Productions, and he signed a little. I guess he carried photos with him because he had several. He signed a photo for me after after we talked for a bit, and I was hooked right then of autograph collecting. And that was my first autograph that I ever had. Still have it. Even met my wife with autograph collecting in a weird roundabout way. So collecting's always been central to my life.
Awesome. So yeah, I didn't know a lot of that stuff. So when a lot of people are like, you mentioned Full House, and hey, that's like the ideal family. When we got people like Bob Saget who recently passed away, and you see all the people that are out there in mourning, you'll read some comments like, well, they don't know who you are, but these are people that we relied on, our entire lives. They were there when people that were supposed to be there weren't. And
Absolutely.
that's what I told one of my brothers. He was like, well, these people wouldn't know, if you done anything. I was like, well, no, but every day at 5:30, that person was there. They were there on my TV, and that's where I found solace in, my everyday life or what was going on at the time. Those characters, or though, that family, they're there for you. And it's a very important part of anybody's life, is just finding that little piece of themselves and something that can connect you with people around the world.
Absolutely. And you can see that even with specifically movies, I guess, that have been out of circulation forever, like with the Ghostbusters, for example. I remember watching those movies when I was a kid. They were, again, my escape, and I never thought about it ever again. And then, the recent Ghostbuster movie came out, and there you are sitting in the theater, and you're like a little kid again. You're excited. That thrill is right back to where it was when you were 10, 11, 12 years old.
All right. So what did you think of Afterlife?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. A lot of people didn't like, and I don't even remember what it was called. What was the one with the all-female cast?
Answer the Call.
Answer the Call. A lot of people, there was a lot of debate on that. And of course, my daughter absolutely loved it, and my two sons didn't really care for it. But I said, you know what? If you're a Ghostbusters fan, a true fan, in my opinion, and that's all it is an opinion, but I'll take it. You know, I loved it at the time. I'm like, if this is all we get, because Afterlife, I had no idea. I don't think there was a plan for it back then. You know, maybe there was, but I didn't know of it. But kind of like the
Right.
same thing with Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull. A lot of people didn't like it, but I'd rather sit in the theater and hear that theme music blasting over the speakers again and get all excited. And yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take any little bit they can throw me. You know, I'm in the same boat. My daughter, who I want desperately to be in a lot of the things that I'm into, and Ghostbusters is the one thing she's gravitated towards. And it was due into fact to the answer the call and having 4 female leads where she's seen, hey, girls are Ghostbusters, but that led her to go back and watch the first 2. And she loves the
Absolutely.
second one. And so we got to sit down as a family and watch Afterlife together in the theaters and have that moment, you know, sharing a special where a small girl kid got to play a character that she could, you know, kind of look. I mean, she's still only 6, but she looked at that character and was like, oh, wow, a kid girl can be a Ghostbuster too.
Absolutely. And then I'm sure they made a fan.
Right. Oh yeah, no, she loves, we dress up as I got my Stay Puff outfit down here in the bottom here. And she wants every Halloween, we take one of the nights and we'll all dress up. We dress up as a family as Ghostbusters, and I put on Stay Puff and we'll go out through the neighborhood and you know, get some reactions and things like that from people. So a lot
That's
of
cool.
fun.
That's cool.
So Crystal Skull, Indiana Jones. I loved it. Anytime you get to see Harrison Ford put the hat back on, you know, crack a couple whips. Yeah, he lost a couple steps, but I'm all in.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't know what, I think the only problem I personally had with it was just, I feel like they used too much CGI. You know, you look at the older movies and they didn't have the special effects techniques that we have today. And to me, I think that's just where some of the movies falter a little bit. You know, having Shia LaBeouf swinging through the trees with the monkeys, I don't know. You know,
I'll tell you, my only complaint with that movie was going to be when the hat rolled towards LaBeouf and he almost picked it up. And it right there, I was like, okay, no, I'm out.
yep, that's it.
But
That's it.
yeah, thankfully Harrison Ford reached down and said, not today. So
Yeah. And I think they're making another one, aren't they?
they are. I think Harrison Ford actually got hurt on the set, I think I read, but they're trucking right along, and I'll be first in line in the theaters to go see Indiana Jones. I love me some. I got an Indiana Jones hat floating around here somewhere. And my wife, she's like, I can't believe you wear that thing. And I'm like, I wish I could wear it more often.
Right, exactly. That's the one thing I'll say about like the autographs that we collect. And again, this is kind of how the start of the business is, but it's a bittersweet moment when, you know, I've got this wonderful autograph. I don't want to let it go,
Right.
but you have to. So like, but right now, if that Harrison Ford never sells, I'm a happy guy.
Yeah. That's what I keep getting stuff and adding to my studios here. And she's like, are you ever going to stop? Are you ever going to sell anything? I'm like, no. That's why I take all my pops out of their cases, so then I don't ever have to sell them. I'm like, well,
Oh,
you know,
there
it's
you go.
not worth anything now they're out of the case.
That's it. That's it. Those are actually really hard to sell. Like they're an easy sell, but hard to get an account with Funko, I found out.
Really?
Yeah, you've got to sell pretty I don't remember what the dollar amount is of it, but you've got to sell thousands of dollars of them a month in order to get a Funko account and keep it. And you've got to keep ordering thousands of dollars. I mean, I guess it for Walmart or Target or some of those bigger stores, it's not a problem, but you know, we sell a fair amount through, you know, third-party distributors.
Right.
Entertainment Earth is a big one. BBCW is another. Our markup isn't quite what I would hope it is, because, you know, they're going to take their chunk too.
Right.
But yeah, it's a hard account to get through.
Interesting. I didn't know that, because they're everywhere. I mean, you see, you know, Funko, you go into the CVS and Walgreens and they're, you know, right there on an end cap with, Walgreens exclusives and all that.
Yeah, yeah. There's a few of them that are difficult to get in through. That's probably that and NECA and what's the other one? The McFarlane Toys. Those are kind of hard accounts to get. You can get all of it through, like I said before, through like third-party distributors, but to get it direct from the source is, they've got some gatekeepers that are pretty tough to get through.
Right? Yeah. No, I don't ever want to mess with any gatekeepers. So
No.
So tell me, what is your favorite fandom? If you had to pick one overall, which one is the one that like, hey, this is the one that really, really speaks to me?
That does get difficult. I'm gonna have to say, it might be cliche, but I guess Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I don't think I've seen a bad Star Wars movie. I know that's a highly debated topic,
Very much, very much so.
I don't think I've seen a bad one, and I love what they're doing with the TV shows.
Oh, they're awesome.
I love The Mandalorian, love the Book of Boba Fett. I'm excited all of that stuff's coming out.
So what is your favorite Star Wars movie out of 1 through 9? Which one is the one that when you sit down to watch one, this is my go-to Star Wars movie?
Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith. Night. That's a very popular, at the time when it came out, there were a lot of people that griped about the prequels when they came out too. And, years removed, they're looked in a totally different light than when they came out. But Revenge of the Sith is popular.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, to me, that's the movie that was the transformation of Darth Vader right there. That's when you saw Darth Vader become Darth Vader. So yeah, no, I love that particular one. And I think that the prequels had a hard time only because, a lot of people were sitting in the theater and we were hoping for, I don't know what, we had the first 3 movies, or 4, 5, and 6 to compare it against, you know what I mean? But I don't think that's who they were shooting for as a target audience. They were shooting for my kids, and my kids love the prequels.
Right. Yeah, no, I think exactly. My daughter she's not totally into, she likes this one. She loves Grogu.
Well, and going back to what I said earlier with what I think some of the misses in the movies have been before, where they relied too heavily on CGI, he was a puppet. So people love him. They went a little bit more traditional, older school, if you will, movie technique on that particular part, and everybody loved him. Yeah,
he's a fascinating character. Now, here's one. So you're speaking to someone who is in that controversial tab with the prequel or the sequels.
Okay.
My favorite movie out of all the Star Wars film was Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Up until the sequels. My favorite movie is The Last Jedi.
Okay. All right.
And that's a very hard take to have with some people. So
it is. But I think that's the real good thing, and why I lean so hard into Star Wars as far as it being my favorite trilogy is because you can sit down with somebody and have a discussion, and whether they hate that movie or love that movie, at the end of the day, you're a Star Wars fan, and you definitely have your favorite movie in that genre, in that particular franchise.
So we're not akin to spoilers. If anyone watching this, they've seen all this stuff before, so don't hold back to talk about anything.
Okay. Especially if I'm talking about prequels, I hope so.
Yeah, I hope they've seen those by now. What did you think of the Book of Boba Fett? I know you said a few minutes ago that you liked it. So what were some of your thoughts? What was one of the favorite things you've seen out of that?
Probably I liked how they picked up right from the beginning of how he got out of the Sarlacc pit. That was like, okay, you have to go there at some point, and they went right there, right at the beginning. And I didn't understand all of the the hate with it that I've saw in a lot of the blogging posts, a lot of the, like I didn't see a problem with him. You know, I'm like, okay, well, he's hurt and he's injured because he was in the Sarlacc pit. His face is burned. He's got to go in the back to tank. You know,
Right.
you know, that doesn't make him any weaker.
Yeah, he had a lot of repairs to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love the Rancor scene. The all the little spots with the Rancor were the huts were fantastic in it. You know, we talk about kind of they weren't so much the Jabba the Hutt in 1, 2, and 3, you know, in Tatooine and Phantom Menace. It
Yeah,
was a little more akin to Jabba the Hutt out of the old ones, but you know, a little better well done, I guess.
absolutely. Well, and I liked how they explained with the Rancor, you know, that it's an emotional and highly sensitive creature. It forms an attachment because that explains a part in the original Star Wars movies when the Rancor died and his caretaker was crying.
Yes, yes,
You know,
that's what I kept telling everybody.
I'm like that just explained that part why he would be sad. So
Right. Yeah, it was really cool. You know, everybody's like, well, it's a setup. I'm like, no, if you remember back to the one in Jabba's palace, I was like, old dude went over there and bawled when it died. I was like, so they're like a big dog. I mean, effectively.
right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I think if I had to pick one thing that I didn't like about it would be those I don't even know what they were supposed to be called. I guess they were half android, half people on the really brightly
Waters.
colored scooter looking things. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I didn't hate them. I just didn't understand if water's at a premium and hard to come by, how are their bikes so shiny, you know, on Tatooine?
brand new Vespas, but no, you know, no water bottle that goes on them.
Yeah, exactly. They must have a different way to clean their stuff, or I don't know.
Yeah, you would think it would be a little more worn on the sands of Tatooine.
Yeah, because everything else is. So that's the only part that, and again, it didn't make it odd enough for me to say that, oh, I hate the Book of Boba Fett, but that was the only one that I kind of raised an eyebrow on. I'm like, I don't know where they're going with those yet.
So now you've watched all of the Mandalorian. What do you think about the Mandalorian, Grogu, how they're developing there?
I mean, that's their hit show. And even when he made the appearance on the Book of Boba Fett, you know, I thought you could definitely tell when the Mandalorian crew kind of took over filming, and it's just I love damn near everything about that one.
Yeah, the
I think
best episodes of Boba Fett were the ones that were, in my opinion, were the ones focused on Mando and the child.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like where they're discussing things with the dark saber. I like how they're bringing Star Wars characters that were in the cartoons and they're bringing them live action. You know, Ahsoka making her appearance. Who'd you have? Bo-Katan made her appearance. So I'm like, okay, I like where this is going, and they're doing them well.
Yeah, they really are. They really are. So where do you think we're going to get now? Now we got speaking of Obi-Wan there behind you. We're getting Obi-Wan. Are you ready for an Obi-Wan 6-part series?
I think I am. I think I am. And I know I'm going to want more.
I think we're all in that boat.
You know, I'm really excited for you know, Hayden Christensen's return. I've heard that he's going to be back in it as Darth Vader. I think he got very unfairly criticized about his performance in the prequels, just because, again, I mean, that the thing that I like about Star Wars is kind of like how I had mentioned. Excuse me. Is that I think everybody can have a good dialogue and we're all fans. But I think sometimes, especially towards the actors, and maybe it is because we feel so personally attached to them, that when we get disappointed, we attack them almost toxically, and that's one
Oh
thing I
yeah.
wish would change.
You know, you talk about Ghostbusters fans and it's interesting to be, you know, in both camps, because Ghostbusters fans can be really just as awful. Some of the stuff they done to
Yeah.
Leslie Jones was horrendous.
Yeah,
For just going out and playing a good character, and was extremely funny. If nothing else, there were some just good belly laughs in that movie.
absolutely. And it's not their fault. They didn't write the script. I mean,
Right?
they're not gonna, I think they might have a little bit of input, but I don't know how much. Ultimately it's gonna be the director who's directing them to go a certain way with their character.
Yeah, I would think their biggest input is when they put that check in their bank. And outside of that, it's pretty much, hey, I'm going to do what this guy or this lady tells me to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
where do you want to see Star Wars go next? We got a few things. We got the Obi-Wan series. What is the one thing, if you had a wish list, that, hey, I want to see this in the Obi-Wan series?
Oh goodness. Um, I don't know if I'd want it particularly in the series itself, but I definitely want more series spin-offs. I think there's a lot of different characters that have been introduced, and I know that the comics and the novels aren't canon anymore, but they still, whether they admit to it or not, they pull an awful lot out of them. And I would like just to see the whole world explored. Take me to different planets. Take me, take that one character that didn't have a very big role. Take Finn. Let's do something with him. Let's see where that was meant to go.
Right. Right. Such a great character that really kind of got lost in the shuffle. Him and Snoke. Snoke was
Yeah,
I got 3 or 4 Snoke action figures up here, and I was all in. I wanted to know the origin story, and I gotta say, I was a little let down that how it turned out. But even then, he was still a fantastic character. I would love to see, they could go back. He was around for a long time. So
yeah.
there's still some story to be told there.
Let's explore Kylo Ren a little bit more. Let's go more into his backstory and maybe less of the villain that he became and more about how to get there.
Right.
You know,
I'd love to see some him and Luke Skywalker, a young Kylo and Skywalker adventures.
absolutely, absolutely. And of course, I'm very curious where they're going to take that little guy Grogu.
Yes. Yeah, I can't wait. They kind of gave it away when they showed the new ship and you had the little port up there. I'm like, well, there's no way he's not going to choose to come back to Mando, because they already got a spot for him. And just imagine how
Absolutely.
much merchandise they'll sell of that ship with him in it.
That was the one thing too that kind of got me though, is I don't know if that ship. I mean, I know why they picked it, because it had like you said, the spot for him. It's fast; it'll get him from point A to point B. But it's more of a fighter ship, not really one that he can live on in between worlds. And I don't know where he's going to store his bounties. Like, I think he'll probably have to get away from all of that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. I'm assuming we're gonna get I kind of look as the Mandalorian as kind of your steady timeline moving forward, and then everything
Right.
branching off of it. And
Yeah.
I used to think he was going to drop the dark saber, but I don't now. The way they played it out in Boba Fett, I don't think so.
Right. Yeah. He's at least going to hold on to it for a while. He's got to figure
So,
out how to use it.
yeah. So, what's your favorite Star Wars character?
Uh, I don't know if I have one particular. I mean, I guess I have to say Darth Vader, just because when I look at my personal collection on everything, um, in my house, I have every single character who's ever played Darth Vader. I have their autograph. So, I've got all of them. I've got David Prowse, I've got Christian Haydenson, I've got Spencer Wildling, I've got everybody. So I guess I have to go with him. Although, when I really stop and think about it, there's no rhyme or reason why. So I don't think I have a particular favorite for any particular reason. I just like watching all of them.
So, who has not been introduced in live action that you're excited to see?
Hmm. I, I don't think I have an answer there. I think I'm just because trying to think if there's anybody, but I don't think No, yeah, I just curious on who they have and who they're going to pull out, but I'm not holding out for anybody particularly.
I'm personally holding out for Thrawn. Thrawn is
Okay.
the
I think
of
he's
course,
coming.
yeah, we got a pretty big tease on that. So, and they got 9 books in the Disney era. There's
Yeah.
6 of them are out of the Disney era. So he's got to be around the corner.
And that's kind of why I didn't mention him, is only because I've got a pretty sneaky suspicion that he's coming anyway.
So now I see you got a really awesome shirt on.
Oh yeah.
And for those listening on the podcast, Chris is wearing a Battletoads shirt. And now Battletoads is one of the most legendary and awesome NES games of all times. So yeah, pretty cool shirt, man. How often it looks pretty new. Were you a big fan of the game?
A huge fan of the game, even still. But yeah, no, it's a shirt that we actually sell at the store here. And right before our interview, I was bringing Obi-Wan Kenobi in from my car. Actually, we're bringing a lot of merchandise and everything in from the car in tonight to the store, kind of a late inventory night. And the shirt that I was wearing got all dirty, and I didn't want to have to wear it for the interview here. So I was like, I just literally just pulled it off the shelf, and I'm like, all right, this one's damaged.
Well, that's fantastic. That is an awesome shirt. I've been admiring it the whole interview so far.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was funny with.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just thinking, talking about the NES games. I actually would have been a great YouTube opportunity, several years ago, maybe about 3 or 4, I guess. I bought my kids a regular NES, and I got the cartridge game. I just put it down on the table for them, and I'm like, here you guys go. It's a video game. Got your new console. And to sit there and watch them try to figure that out.
Oh, man.
How to even play it. It was hilarious. And I've seen people make YouTube videos out of that, but it's exactly like what you see. They had no clue. So
yeah, it's funny. Where does this go? How does this go in here? And
yeah, they'd figure out to put it in. They had no idea you had to push it down. And then of course it didn't work. So they had no idea that you had to go out and, I know you're never supposed to blow in the cartridge, but it worked.
Right.
And blow in the cartridge, and then as we kind of piece those together, it would play, but it would kind of, the screen wasn't solid. It would go up and down and kind of like flip a lot. And I'm like, well, you got to hit the side of the console. Yeah. And they're like, what? I'm like, no, seriously, whack it.
You got to give it the old fawns on the side to make it work.
Exactly. And they're like, does that really work? And I'm like, try it, see. And yep.
But my favorite with the old NES is how you had to kind of wedge one game out just slightly and then push it down where it would get, like, the plastic off the cartridge would get onto the front of the console, so it would keep it down for you. And then it would play a little bit better, or put another cartridge in on top of it to keep it down.
Yes. Yep.
So now once they started playing, what'd they think about no save points?
That was frustrating to them. And I'm like, yes, it is. Yes, it is. I said, and that's where, I can remember yelling at my mom, at my grandma, 5 more minutes. Don't let me, turn it off right now. Give me 5 more minutes, which is like an hour later. And they're still, parents are getting mad at you, but you got to get through.
Right.
But yeah, they played, what do they have? They've got the Ninja Turtles. They've got Rampage, Battletoads. That might be it.
Well, those are 3 awesome. Now, Ninja Turtles, is it the first one?
No, second.
Okay, the second one. So that might be considered some sort of abuse to put the first Ninja Turtles game in front of a kid nowadays and be like, yeah, play this and try to beat this.
Right. Exactly. No. Oh, I remember those days. And a lot of long nights.
So
yeah, I've actually been trying to get my middle child to clean up his room since Christmas, because he wants to turn his room into an 80s 90s style arcade. So I got him one of those 1-up arcade machines. Sits about to chest level maybe, and of Mortal Kombat.
Nice.
And it's still not built yet because I'm still waiting for him to clean up his room so he's got a spot to put it in. I'm like, dude, what other parent buys you a freaking arcade machine to clean your room and you're still not doing it?
Oh man. Yeah, I've seen the Mortal Kombat one. I've eyed that a few times, going through the store, been like, man, that would be sweet to have an old Mortal Kombat arcade machine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and that's the thing I love about our store. I love when people come in here that are our age, and I've had even significantly older come in because we carry everything here. How did they describe us in the paper? Kind of a retro to modern pop culture paradise is, I think it was exactly how he put it. Because yeah, you come into our store and we've got t-shirts from Rambo to Escape from New York, and all the way to, it's got Ryu up there studying the cheat code symbols for the remote control. And then what else do we have? Tons of Star Wars merchandise, Star Trek merchandise, Gremlins merchandise, Marvel merchandise, and just like something for everybody. And I love when people come in and actually geek out. And that's something I've told my sales associates, and I'm like, it is okay, and I encourage you to some degree. I don't want you spending hours talking to people, but I want you to geek out with them. I'm like, that's what we are. We are a fun freaking store. You come in here, we've got, Mario rugs on the floor. We've got Bat Cave signs on the wall. I'm like,
That's
come in
awesome.
and have a blast with them. And they do, and they'll be telling their stories of when they were little to their kids, and then their kid runs over and finds something that they love too. And I love seeing stuff like that.
It's great. It makes for a great experience. And that's what all stores, really should be, is a place for people to experience stuff. And especially a store like yours, where you got everything that spans decades. It's a place where families can go in and kind of bond with each other and share that, hey, daddy's and mommy's stuff's in here, just like my stuff's in here. And, it makes it all cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had people that have come in, especially around Christmas time, because we opened the store of November of last year, right? On Black Friday, actually, the day of. And we'd have people come in and they were like, we had no idea that I thought I was coming in here for something for my kid, and you are now my favorite store for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we've got a lot of big plans for it too. It's, the hardest part I think right now is as I mentioned before, we're still doing the respiratory therapist gig at the hospital a bit. So it's hard to split the time, and it's been a challenge trying to be the boss here a little bit. I've really depended on my 18-year-old son and my 15-year-old daughter, because we have a few other employees as well, but I've really looked to them for kind of leading the reins. And what's good is, the years that we kind of did the conventions before actually deciding to open a store, they learned everything that they needed to know about, specifically like with autographs. People come in, they've got a million questions. The sales associate may not know how to answer them, but then there's my son, and he's like, okay, yes, it's third party authenticated. These are the companies specifically that we go through. 90% of them will have a proof photo with a signing attached with them, and they've really been a lifesaver for being here. And so many plans. One of the things, you'd mentioned Obi-Wan Kenobi behind me. One of the plans we have, this used to be some kind of clothing store. And I have no idea what was in here before, but because it's been vacant on this side of the mall for a while, which was our design choice. Number one, mall rent, the way they do it is kind of particular. It goes, the more crowded areas of the mall, the rent's a lot higher.
Right.
So I'm like, okay, what about this dead end of the mall over here? And they were like, oh yeah, we'll pay you to take it. Like, perfect. And they were like, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, originally we have these dressing rooms over here that I was wanting the mall to kind of do a remodel a little bit for us, or restoration, or whatever you want to call it, where I wanted them to make that just extra storage for us, like maybe drywall the front, get rid of the rooms, because outside of t-shirts, we really don't have any clothing particularly to try on. So no reason to have a dressing room. And then the mall went through new ownership, and by the time we went to sign our lease, our permanent lease, they were like, yeah, no, we're not going to offer you anything. So I remember talking to my wife, and I said, well, why don't we take those dressing room doors off of the dressing rooms, put a statue in each room, and make it a little world for the statue, so that people can come in and have like photo opportunities. And then we'll just put our signs plastered in there, so that when they share it on Facebook or Instagram, that'll be advertising for our store to get out there as well.
Oh, that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. I'm but again, having the idea and then having the ability to sit in here and get it done has been challenging, but I'm hoping in the next few weeks. That seems to be my answer for everything anymore.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to see some photos coming out of that, in some various worlds. And yeah, that's a fantastic idea, man. That's awesome. That's great marketing. Great marketing.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I want. I want this place to be a destination, not just a retail store that you go to, but I want it to be the reason you come to the mall. It was for this store, over here. And then I also told them, for the dead space that's out here, I actually plan to do not really a fan convention, but more like fan meetings, where I know a few different celebrities that I've met personally over the years, that I've gotten pretty close with by luck and chance, that I've been talking to, and I'm like, we're just trying to actually set a date for them to come over. Like, I know Sam Jones is one of them, Flash Gordon. The original Flash Gordon. He came to a convention maybe about 4 years ago through here. I met him there, became instant friends with him, and actually have his personal contact information. And we've been talking, and it's not if, but when. When is it going to clear up his schedule, and then have that? And that's going to benefit the mall as much as our store, is to bring that traffic back in here.
Yeah, especially now, foot traffic in a lot of these areas is a thing of the past, with online shopping. And a store like yours that has a lot of energy and experience for a customer and clientele could bring a lot to an area like that. That's awesome. Maybe your story can help inspire others across the nation to pick up their hobby and be able to take these spaces that are non-existent and do something with it and create a atmosphere for their community too.
Absolutely. And it's not, you do need to have the dedication for it. I will say it's a bit of a time consuming process. So you really do have to have a love for whatever you're doing, whatever that hobby is. But we started like very small, but every convention we went to, like I said, and that wasn't our goal to grow at all. It was our goal to get free seats at a convention.
Right.
Because that's the other thing. When you have a booth, you get free seats. You don't have to walk around the convention floor with nowhere to sit the whole time. And you can see tons of cool costumes that just walk by your booth. But every convention we went to, we would literally double our sales. At least at the beginning. At the beginning, we ended up doubling our sales every time. And then you start looking at, okay, well, I need to get something new, something different. And so I'd start scouring. I think for us, we started selling through our personal collection, and then I started going to clearance sections at collectible places. Toys R Us was still a thing back then. So, they had a collectible section, anything cool on clearance. Or what about Target? Or you used to have a store out here called Hastings, which was kind of a mix between a Blockbuster, a Barnes and Noble, and a store like us, all in one. And they went out of business, unfortunately. But yeah, and I just went through all their clearance stuff. I bought almost all of it. And I'm like, let's try to resell this. And now, and you just grow as you're doing that. And now it's like, okay, now I have distributors I can call. There's still a few, like we were saying earlier, Funko I can't quite get an account with, but I can get an account with Entertainment Earth. And not only can I get, the Funko stuff, that gave me access to get a whole bunch of Hasbro stuff and everything else. And Hasbro with Star Wars. So,
Right.
Matter of fact, I even got, see if I can show it here. I had to open a box because it was damaged. And we were talking about the Mandalorian earlier. But we got the Mandalorian rifle, the Nerf rifle.
Yes. Now, for those listening on the podcast, you can get on to the Space Emporium Facebook page. And that is a picture of the one I referred to of Obi-Wan stocking the shelves. That rifle was in front of him. Really good looking piece. You can also see on there, I got it pulled up right now in front of me. You can see a really cool Tupac. What'd you say they were made out of resin?
Resin, yeah.
And I'm assuming that's where you picked up the Obi-Wan, and it looks like you might have found a Leia. And I was kind of watching your trip the other day. So tell us a little bit about your trip there. It looked like it was a good time. And
So we, like I've mentioned a few times, being respiratory therapists, at the beginning of 2020, right when all the COVID madness kind of hit, my wife and I both decided that we were going to start travel. And a lot of people are doing that now because the money for travel nurses and travel respiratory therapists are pretty phenomenal, if I'm going to be honest. Once in a lifetime paycheck, if you will. But that's not initially why we did it. It was coincidence. COVID hadn't even hit out here yet when we quit. We got right kind of at the beginning. It was on the East Coast. It wasn't in the middle of America yet that we knew of. But we traveled to Jersey right at the beginning of 2020 when everything was going on in New York and New Jersey. And then when we came back after doing that for several months, we got a contract in Fort Worth. And Fort Worth has a company out there called Fanboys Marketplace that does all of the conventions, all of the, meet and greets for celebrities out there. And again, it was just by chance. I was looking for something to do, somewhere to go shop. And Texas is a lot more open, even with all the COVID stuff when it was happening. We never really truly locked down on anything. All the stores were still open. It wasn't gonna, that stuff wasn't gonna fly out here. I mean, as much as, and again, that's a very political issue that I guess I'll avoid a little bit of, but regardless of your opinion on what, you choose what's good for you. But I was very comfortable. I was wearing my N95 everywhere. I was real lucky to have access to those through the hospital. So I would still go out into public, still go shopping, still go to all these places open. And there was a store that was set up that was like a vendor's booth inside a comic convention. But then at the end, except you didn't have people, you weren't with your booth. So all these booths were set up in this store, but you had one singular person check you out. And every item that you had a little sticker piece attached to their item, and it was a vendor code so they could get credit for the sale. And I asked, what that was about, and they said, well, yeah, our vendors can't sell at the comic conventions. They've got a lot of merchandise just sitting around in storage. They're losing money on it. It's not circulating. So we opened up here just to give them a chance to sell stuff. And they started talking about opening up a spot in Denton, Texas, in the mall out there. I was real interested in that because I was that vendor. I had a lot of stuff that just wasn't moving. It wasn't even a thought on my brain at the time. I just thought that was a great idea. I was like, oh, how do I get involved in that? How can I open up a booth with you? And ended up doing a little booth out in Denton, Texas, which is still running now. And we will go out there every couple of months, about every 2 months, and we go up, we totally restock it and, pick up our check. And the cool thing about it is From Denton, Texas to Moore, Oklahoma, which is where my buddy who makes the statues lives. It's about a 2-hour drive in between. So we'll stay at the WinStar Casino, which is right in the middle. Very convenient.
Right.
And I take all the money I made in Denton and I blow it at the casino. And then I go visit my buddy. And then but yeah, we'll go over to his house and pick up statues pretty regularly. The initial idea with his visits was, I thought maybe one day at the beginning, I thought it would just be cool to have a statue or two to showcase at a convention, something that would bring traffic
Right.
to our booth. Maybe get something on an end cap and then have them come over when they see, Picard, and then charge a couple bucks for a picture with them, and or charge nothing and just have my sign somewhere where, again, free advertising. And then when we started opening the store, we're like, well, maybe we can sell some of these statues. And I had the first person come up to me during the holiday season, and he said, how much is it for Darth Vader? How much is that Darth Vader in the window? And my kid's like, oh, he's $2,200. I said, well, hold on now. Let me think. Don't be so quick to answer him. Hold on. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't part with him. And so, yeah, my statue obsession has grown and grown. So now I'm just trying to find ways to use them as advertising and getting attention. But no, that trip is awesome. We make it a couple times. We make it every couple of months up there to restock the Denton store, and then it's always a blast visiting his house. And he's constantly changing his stuff. I'll show pictures. He's a little camera shy. He doesn't like to be in the video or in the photo, but he's constantly changing his house. Like his garage, I want to say at one time he made it look like the inside of an old Blockbuster video. And he'd have different statues up there. He put Grand Moff Tarkin, and he put him in like a Blockbuster shirt uniform, but that's his face. And had him working at the Blockbuster. Then he had him, it looked like inside of the Avengers room, where he had about 8 different Iron Man suits that he had made. And he made stands for them. It's always awesome going to his place. And he actually has been on YouTube, different YouTubers channels all over. If you look up Oklahoma House of Wonders, sometimes just scrolling through YouTube, anything in Moore, Oklahoma House of Wonders, it'll be him in his house.
Awesome. Yeah, there were some really cool photos there. So switching gears a little bit, I always do a little deserted island with each of my guests. So I've changed up the questions just slightly for you.
Okay.
So if you, Chris, were on a deserted island and you could only have one of the following, what would it be? What would be the one TV show that you would have for your entire time on said island?
And of course, I have access to a TV and everything else.
Yes, you do have access to a TV.
One TV show that I could watch the entire time. I would probably pick oh man, that's more difficult than I thought.
Yeah,
I would have to
final binge.
Man. I'd probably pick something with a lot of seasons. You know what? Let's go with Stargate.
Stargate. That's a really good choice.
Yeah.
All right. One video game.
What is the one that my kid, the little turd, he got me hooked on it, and then I couldn't play it anymore because he took the system. Dead by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight.
I think that was the name of it. I'm pretty sure. We have to go around fixing generators, and you have all these classic scary movie people chasing you.
Nice. I have to check that out. I'm not familiar with that one. So
yeah, I'm 90% certain that was the name of the game. He got me totally hooked because you can play the killer or a survivor. So
nice.
you're either
That's a game where you can play the bad guy. That's good.
Yeah. You want to be Michael Myers? You want to be Ghostface? You can be them.
Awesome. I'll have to check that out. Dead by Daylight. Movie.
Just one movie, or what if it's a bunch of like Star Wars has, 1 through 6?
One movie, one singular title.
Oh, that's a lot harder. We were talking about it earlier a little bit, but yeah, I'll go with Raiders.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. Awesome. That's a fantastic choice.
Yep.
That would definitely be that would be in contention for myself too. I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan. So here is the question that I got specifically for you. Now, you went to a lot of comic book conventions. You got a very interesting place there. What is the one, if you were stuck on this island and you had to cosplay, what would be the outfit that we would find Chris in?
As impractical as it would be, it'd probably be Jedi robes.
That would probably definitely be the most, I mean, people in the desert, have all kinds of robes and stuff on. So it might be the most practical.
That's true, actually. Yeah. You'd probably see me forced trying to get down a couple coconuts unsuccessfully.
Awesome. So go ahead and tell everybody where can they interact with you at? Where can they find your store at? Plug all your social media and let us know where we can be in touch and get in touch with the Space Emporium.
Absolutely. So you can always come through. If you come through Amarillo, Texas, we're at the Westgate Mall. If you go through Denton, Texas, we're at the Golden Triangle Mall. Again, it'll be a very small selection, but an appetizer, if you will. Here, hopefully in the next day or two, once we get the website up and running, it'll be www.spaceemporium.biz. And then our Facebook page, which is right now the absolute most accessible, Space Emporium / The Big Universe.
Fantastic. So, Chris, we appreciate you so much for coming on the PowerBomb Nation. And
I appreciate you inviting me.
Well, you're doing great work out there. I can't wait. Like we talked before we started the interview, I wanted to get to Amarillo to have that 72-ounce steak, but I think I may have found something even better reason to make it down there, not only to catch up with you, but I have to make it there to check out this store.
Absolutely you do.
So this sounds awesome, folks. If you're anywhere near Amarillo, make sure you take the trek over and meet with Chris, see this fantastic store that him and his family are building, absorb it all in and enjoy the experience and have a great time in life. Thank you so much for tuning in to the PowerBomb Nation. Chris, thank you again for being a guest on our show. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, peace out.
Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe. You are now leaving the PowerBomb Nation.